What's up, everyone? It's Brandon with Flesh and Blood Brothers. And if you saw my last video, Uprising is coming out this weekend, and Chane is officially a living legend. So I built my first Briar Warden of Thorns classic constructed deck. So today I'll be going over that. If you haven't read up on Briar, she has been errated. It's now the first time an attack action card you control deals damage to opposing hero. Create an Embodiment of Earth. An Embodiment of Earth gives your non-attack action cards +1 while defending. So it used to be anytime an attack deal damage, you create one, you can have like 4 or 5 embodiments of Earth. But now you're just limited to 1. And then the second time you play non-attack, each turn you create an Embodiment of Lightning. And what this does is when you play an attack action card, it gives that attack go again. So between the extra defense and the go again when you have a lot of non-attacks in your hand, Briar can do some pretty cool plays. So let's talk about the equipment. Of course, we're going to have Rosetta Thorn, Briar's signature weapon. For 1 resource, we can attack for 2 physical and deal 2 arcane damage to a target hero. As you can see as we go through the deck, Rosetta Thorn will be turned on quite often, and it's great to pitch 1 resource to deal that 2 physical and 2 arcane split damage. Most of the time I'm going to run with the Arcanite Skullcap, giving you a block for 2 and a block for 1 throughout the game for 3 total. The Crown of Providence just came out in the Uprising set. It is pretty good as well. That blocks for 2. But the Arcanite Skullcap gives you that extra 1 late in the game. The Spring Tunic. Every 3 turns, you're going to get a resource available to you at instant speed. And this goes quite well with if you have just enough to play non-attack and attack, you can spend your Tunic resource to swing your weapon for 2 and 2. So, yeah, very useful. The way I play this deck, I like to block defensively pretty well, especially with my embodiments of Earth. So I can activate Tunic 3-4 times a game pretty easily. Grasp of the Arknight blocks for 2 with Battle Worn, so you get 3 total block again here. And often, as you will see, I do run a lot of blues, so I often have the resources to create a rune chant and keep threatening that split damage throughout the game. And controversial, but most Briar players use the Snapdragon Scalers to give an attack with 1 or less cost go again. I prefer the Spellbound Creepers because all your non-attack actions have go again. So being able to play those at instant speed to give you that extra action point gives you that, that go again that you were craving anyway. And late in the game, you can block for an additional 1, giving you another health essentially. So I definitely like to run these. And, my boy Chane always wears the creepers, so I had to bring it to Briar. And I run 2 Arcane Barrier pieces of equipment. Mage is going to get popular with Uprising. So Arcane Barrier 2 is decent to pack. You have Arcane Barrier 1 from the Crown and Arcane Barrier 1 from the Quill Hand. And late in the game, you can pop this for 2 rune chants and try to threaten lethal. So that's my Arcane Barrier equipment there. So the 60-card main deck. And so we have 60 cards in the main deck, and we have 13 in the sideboard. So first things first, let's go over the main deck here. Let me get all the reds for you. A lot of reds. So out of 60 cards, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So we have 33 reds and a Gorgonian Tome. So, quite often in Briar you'll have a lot of reds, but I also have a lot of blues to counteract that. So first things first, we got 3 red Bramble Spark. That's going to give our next attack the ability to deal 1 arcane damage. So whether they block it or not, they're most likely not going to pitch for 1 arcane, so we're going to create an Embodiment of Earth off that. And then we're going to fuse it with an Earth card from our hand to give our next attack action +3, and it costs 0 to play. So that's going to really be the catalyst to a lot of our decent turns. We throw this down. We add an arcane and +3 physical to our next attack action for 0 cost. So yeah, solid card, very solid card. So you pretty much get that 4 for 0. That'll be a theme as we go through this deck list. We're coming in 3 Channel Mount Heroic. This card is amazing. And with all the Illusionists and Phantasm running around in Uprising, you're going to buff all your attacks by +3, so you can be popping Phantasm all day. And not to mention just pumping out a ton of damage. And if you're desperate with an Embodiment of Earth, this does block for 4 on your turn, or on your opponent's turn. But yeah, we have an abundance of Earth cards in this list, so we're going to keep Channel Mount Heroic up as much as we possibly can. 3 Enlightened Strike. What's really cool about this is if you have the Embodiment of Lightning, this is going to have Go Again naturally, so you can usually put a card from your hand at the bottom of your deck and choose the draw card, or if you have an abundance of cards and resources, you can give it +2. So if you have Channel Mount Heroic out, this is coming in for 10 with Go Again from the Embodiment of Lightning. So Enlightened Strike can get pretty crazy in this deck, so that's why I definitely run 3, and it blocks for 3. You're going to see a lot of 3 blocks in this deck. I love blocking for 3, I love blocking for 4 with my embodiments. Here's a card you don't see a lot of Briar players running lately, Explosive Growth. It costs 1. You can fuse it with an Earth card, and it'll give it, if it deals damage, all attacks you control gain +1 on the combat chain. That includes your weapon. So often, again, if you have Go Again from Embodiment of Lightning, or you can use Spellbound Creepers to do something after this as an instant, give you Go Again and swing your weapon for +1 as well. So you're paying 1, but you're getting +1 here, then it bumps up to 4, and you deal an arcane. If you played Bramble Spark before, it just gets pretty nuts. So Explosive Growth ×3 red, definitely a cool play, and definitely a good value card. 3 Lightning Press gives an attack with cost 1 or 0 +3 as an instant. So multifaceted use here. You can buff an attack that doesn't pop Phantasm with this to get it over that 6th threshold to pop Phantasm, but most of the time you're going to play something like Snatch, or pretty much any attack. At the end of the game, you can just win the game by just unexpectedly adding +3 to your attack. I won many games with Lightning Press just out of nowhere. Sneaky card, great card, love it. Rattle Bones. You do not see this in many Briar lists at all, if any, but it's an action that blocks for 3, so this will block for a solid 4 if you have an Embodiment of Earth, which you pretty much always will. But you can do a lot of cool plays. We deal a lot of arcane damage in this deck between the Bramble Sparks and Explosive Growth and Rune Chance. So we're going to play this as an instant, get that Phantom action point from Go Again, and we're going to banish most likely a Swarming Gloomveil from our banish zone for a free attack for 3 or 4 with Go Again, and swing our weapon because this costs 2 and our weapon costs 1. So you can do some pretty nuts plays with this. That's why I run Rattle Bones at 3 in my Briar list. Rites of Replenishment. This is another card that kind of got lost in the shuffle. Love this card because it pops Phantasm, it attacks for 6, and you deal arcane damage a shitload in this deck, like I said. So you're going to put a non-attack from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck to get some recursion going, and you fuse with an Earth card, and you can put an attack action from your graveyard to the bottom of your deck. So you can get your Channel Mount Heroics back. You can get your other big attacks back for late in the game, because we do block well. We can stretch the game out if we want to. And we're going to be shuffling our deck with Sonata, so having those cards back in our deck to use again is going to be great. And it blocks for 3, pops Phantasm. Love this card. Scar for a Scar. You know, as you've seen, this is like the first Cheerios Briar type of card, type of attack we've seen. But it's you know, if you look at the math on it, it's solid cost 0. It attacks for 4, and it's going to have natural go again most of the time you play it. So good value, makes your turn wide, and you can come up with that weapon after for 2 and 2. 3 Snatch, red, of course. Attacks for 4, but Channel Mount Heroic makes this 7 if it hits draw a card. And you have other maddening plays like when you have Force of Nature active, you can draw 2 cards off of this hitting. So if you don't already, drawing a card during your turn is just absolutely insane in this game. You're going to take any chance you get to draw cards. So yeah, Snatch times 3 for sure. Sonata times 3. We have a very, very even balance of attacks and non-attacks, and the only instant is the 3 lightning presses. So most of the time, this is going to deal an arcane damage and get your card back in your hand. And we're going to be shuffling our deck, so we get the goodies we got from Rites of Replenishment back. We're going to shuffle up and get more threats throughout the game more consistently. So Sonata Arcanix times 3 is always good. Swarming Gloomveil, this is going to be our target with Rattle Bones most of the time in our graveyard. But if you notice, the Embodiment of Earth and Lightning are auras as well as rune chants. So we're creating these embodiments and rune chants very, very often. So every time I played this in my last armory, it was with 4 with Go Again because I created 2 or more auras. So yeah, 4 with Go Again for free, and it blocks for 3. That's excellent value. And again, that's going to be our Rattle Bones target 95% of the time. And we got 1 Gorgonian Tome because it's a non-attack action. It's half of the Embodiment of Lightning, and a lot of times you can draw 2 cards if you face a lot of Runeblades in your meta. So that's it for the reds. Let's go to the yellows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 yellows. So yeah, we had 33 reds, 7 yellows, and that means we're going to have 20 blues. So that's pretty good. I have 2 yellow Bramble Spark because, yeah, like I said, I want to deal arcane damage pretty much every turn of the game. Split my damage, leak through a lot versus ninjas that don't have an arcane barrier against you. You're going to be leaking through a lot of damage, and you're going to fuse it with an earth card because you have so many earth cards in this deck. It's crazy. It's going to give an attack +2. So this card is on the chopping block. The red version is great, but this still is a 0 for +3 essentially. So it's in here for now, but this is on the chopping block for goodies that come in Uprising or meta calls or adjustments. So there's that. We have 2 explosive growth yellow. You know, I was just so impressed with the red version that I wanted to throw 2 yellows in here because I had the room for it. But again, this is also on the chopping block. It does block 3. It will attack for quote-unquote 4 most of the time. But, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be tough because there's a lot of goodies from Uprising I want to incorporate, and a lot of adjustments to be made to deal with these mages and ninjas, so we'll see. Pulse of Candlehold times 1. For the fuse factor, it blocks 4 with Embodiment. And I actually did use this a couple times in my local army. You know, you play it, it has Go Again, it's free, and you can put 2 really, really powerful attacks, like and non-attacks. So like Force of Nature and Explosive Growth, you can put that on top of your deck for next turn, or you can get Channel Mount Heroic back. So yeah, it's just pretty nuts what you can do with it. And I got 2 yellow Snatch. The thing about it is, yeah, like I said, drawing cards is just insane on your turn. You want to, the more cards you draw, the more you're just going to be disabling your opponent, just overwhelming your opponent, and doing above the curve Runeblade things. So I do have 2 yellow in here. It does attack for 3, but most of the time you're going to throw this during a Channel Mount Heroic turn for 6, or buff it up with Bramble Spark. So yeah, it's good. I like it. Probably will keep it. Now for the blues. We got a lot of blues, a lot of earth blues. So Amulet of Earth. Most of the time this is just a pitch card and a fuse card. It's earth. But if you do throw it down, it does have go again, so there is value to be had. 3 blue Burgeonings, again, Earth card. If you have to use it as an attack, if you play it from Arsenal, it's a 2 for 5, so that's not terrible. But again, this is your pitching and fusing bread and butter. Earthlore Surge ×3 in blue. Now, you can play it for 2. You know, this is the same as a Howl from Beyond, essentially. 2 for +3 and go again. I am considering fitting in a couple of red ones of these because it gives it, for 2, it gives your next attack +5 no matter what it is. So it does combo well with Snatch and other good hit effects. So yeah, 3 of those for the fusing. Force of Nature. Bro, this card is amazing. Recur it as much as you can with Rites of Replenishment and Pulse, and shuffle it up with Sonata. But again, Earth Fusion. Whenever an attack card you control hits, if its attack is greater than its base, draw a card. If Force of Nature is fused, your next attack gains +1. Go again, and it's free. And it blocks for 3, 4 with an embodiment of Earth. This is, this is your MVP right behind Channel Mount Heroic. This card's insane, especially if you combo with Snatches. You're drawing 2 cards. You're going wide. You're going nuts. It's going to be a really, really good time. As often as you see that card. So tomorrow, again, another Earth. This one costs 1. It has go again. And if you play it from the arsenal, you draw a card. So what this is going to do is get your 2 costs elemental actions or earth actions to the bottom of your deck. So you're going to recycle your Channel Mount Heroics. You're going to recycle your Rites of Replenishment. You're going to extend the game. In a pinch, you can block for 3 with embodiment. And again, it has go again. So it's halfway to that embodiment of lightning. I love this card. Keeping it at 3. Keeping it at 3 blue. Toma Harvest, another blue earth card. If you have a card in your arsenal, you pitch a blue and you draw 3 cards, which is insane. So again, you can fuse with it, you can pitch with it, or you can draw 3 freaking cards with a card in your arsenal. So that's pretty insane. 3 Weave Earth, and this is free, and it's going to give your next fuse attack +2 with go again, but most of the time it's pitching, it's fusing. The Red Weave Earth is pretty good, actually. It gives an attack +3, or if it's fused against +4 and it's free. So yeah, maybe I'll remove some of those yellows and put in some Red Weave Earth, who knows. But that's your 60 cards. As you can see, there's powerful combos within here, and lots of resources for us to play with. Now the sideboard, I got 2 red Burgeoning for the Phantasm popping. It's another Earth card, 2 for 6 or 7 from the arsenal, so it's pretty good value. Nothing wrong with that. 2 Command and Conquer for those non-Chrono Seeds matchups. You pretty much bring this in pretty often. Yeah, and plus you got Channel Mount Heroic going. You're coming in for 9 on Command and Conquer, pretty insane. Runic Reclamation, good against Prism. Pretty much only against Prism now that Chane's gone. So maybe it's time to move on with it from this card. I don't know. It does block for 3, and you can throw it for 10 on a heroic turn, which is pretty insane. Target auras. Yeah, I guess the new illusion is going to have auras too, so I guess that's good enough to keep this in at 2. This round's on me. Not many Briar lists are running this, but I played it against a Katsu, and it did freaking work, man. So your opponent draws a card, but you also draw a card. And until the start of your next turn, all attacks that target you have -1 power. So those Kodachis are doing nothing. They're not going to contribute to the Mask of Momentum. This card saves you 3, 4, 5 damage every time, so it's definitely worth the play. And you draw the card to replace it. So I might even bring this up to 3 if ninjas are that prevalent, but I definitely bring in 2 against Katsu and other ninjas until further notice. I got 2 red Unmovable. This was for Starvo, but Starvo's gone. Hooray! So I might bring this. I might make it a Sigil of Suffering instead, because dealing sneaky arcane damage is fun, and a lot of times your opponent has one left and they forget about them, and you can kind of kill them just by blocking. So we'll see if these Unmovable stay, or maybe they'll turn into Sigil of Suffering. And we got 3 Wisp of the Oracle. So I bring these in when I bring in these other big red attacks. I'll pair it up with some Wisp of the Oracles because I need more blues to help pay for them. But again, this helps you find your Channel Mount Heroics or set up your Snatch draw, Force of Nature draws. So it does have some relevance. It has Go Again for free, and it blocks for 4 with Embodiment of Earth. So pretty valuable card all around. So there you have it. That's my first draft on Briar. Obviously, things are going to change a little bit with Uprising coming out. But yeah, I took this to an army, kicked some ass, and had a really good time. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you saw some cards that you don't usually see in Briar and maybe consider playing them yourself. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the Spellbound Creepers in this deck. And you can really just go bonkers with a lot of combos. So hope you enjoyed that video. Hope you get to some Uprising pre-release events this weekend. And I will see you soon.